So, hi guys, good morning. Okay, so this is our first meeting. So, before we will proceed to our proper discussion or before we will start this meeting, we will first have our prayer. So, who can lead the prayer? Yes, Miss Shirel. Amen. Okay, thank you, Miss Shirel. So, good morning, class. So, how are you? Okay, very good. So, ang hirap, no? We are in this situation, at least we are coping up. So, this is our first meeting. Wait, I forgot something. So, who is your class secretary? Yes, Miss Cruz. Please check the attendance and or screenshot the attendance and kindly send it to me later after the class. Okay, before we'll start, because this is our first meeting, I'll first introduce myself. So, hi guys, I am Mary Amelindia Suzon, your Calculus 2 teacher. So, when you hear the word calculus, what pops up in your mind? Mm-hmm. Mahirap ba talaga ang calculus? Okay. So, di naman daw masyadong mahirap. Slight lang daw, slight. So, okay, guys. So, we will proceed to our first topic this semester. So, our first topic will be the power rule for integration. So, sorry for the delay. Naglalag yung laptop. So, power rule for integration. When you hear about power rule for integration or integration, what comes in your mind? Anyone? No one? Really? Mm-hmm. Okay. Na talaga? Okay, we will proceed. So before we will start to our proper discussion, we will first know our objectives. Uh, So objectives. At the end of the lesson, student will be able to number 1, understand the general solution to an indefinite integral involves a constant of integration often denoted as C. So number 2, perform indefinite integrals using the power rule including polynomial functions, reciprocal functions, and radical functions. So these are the things that our students or you students are expected to meet after this class. Okay, now we will proceed. So the power rule for integrals or integration allows us to find the indefinite and later the definite integrals of a variety of functions like polynomial, function involving roots, and even some rational functions. If you can write it with an exponent, you probably can apply the power rule. Okay. So the power rule solution will be the integral of x to the power of n dx is equals to x to the power of n plus 1 over n plus 1 plus c for n is not equal to negative 1. So for example, using this power rule, we can determine the indefinite integral of x squared as follows. So integral of x squared dx is equals to, so we will use our solution or our formula, which is x n plus 1, which is n will be the exponent. So our exponent will be 2. So 2 plus 1 over 2 plus 1 plus c. So x to the power of 2 plus 1 is equals to x cubed. 2 plus 1 is equals to 3. So the answer will be x cubed over 3 plus c. So notice that there is a letter c plus c. That is a constant variable. Hindi yan pwedeng mawala when solving for integral or integration. Okay? Okay, any question about the power rule for integration formula and this example? So as we go on, we will have another set of examples so that you can really understand the topic. Okay? Questions before we will proceed? None. So next will be example number 1. The power rule of integration. So the power rule of integration is the solution will be or the formula will be same lang. Integral of x to the power of n dx is equals to x to the power of n plus 1 over n plus 1 plus c. So c is a constant variable. So example number 1, determine integral negative x to the power of 9 dx. So here, what is our n? What is our n? 9. Very good. So in this example, we will determine the indefinite integral of a positive integer power of x, in particular, the function negative x to the power of 9. So in order to determine the integral, we will make use of the following property of indefinite integrals. So we will make use of this formula. Integral a f of x times dx is equals to a integral of x times x f of x dx. So why there is an a outside? It is because our given is negative. So we will also make use of the power rule, which is x to the power of n dx is equals to x to the power of n plus 1 over n plus 1 plus c. So where 1 is also constant, hindi natin yan change ang c dyan and the 1 in the exponent and 1 below. Okay? Okay. So we can use the property to take out the factor of negative 1. So in order for us to cancel out negative 1, no? Or to factor out negative 1, outside the integral and determine the indefinite integral of x to the power of 9 using the power rule. So, kailangan. Kaya natin siya ilalabas muna at maya-maya ibabalik natin siya. Okay? Okay. So this will be our solution. So next we will use the power rule for integration, which is integral of negative x to the power of 9 dx is equals to negative integral of x to the power of 9 dx. So what is the power rule? So here it goes na. May negative na sa labas, as you can see. There you go. So negative times x to the power of 9 plus 1 over 9 plus 1 plus c. So x to the power of 9 plus 1 is equals to x to the power of 10 over 10 plus c. So since there is a negative outside, we will just multiply that one to x to the power of 10, which will be x to the power of 10 over 10 plus c. So that is our final answer. So it's so, as you can see, it is so simple, right? Di siya masyadong complicated. It is so simple. You will just substitute everything and remember the constant c for your for and remember the constant c para hindi mali yung sagot ninyo. So next, we will proceed to another example. Okay. Example number 2. Example number 1 is the power rule for of integral. So example number 2, finding the integration of a function using the power rule for integration with a negative exponent. So we will learn here sa example number 2, we will learn how to find the integration of a function using the power rule for negative exponent. If you're given has a negative exponent. Okay. So next will be, so this will be the solution. So in this example, we will determine the indefinite integral of negative integer power of x. In particular, the function negative 2 over 7 x negative 9. So in order for us to factor out that negative to 7, first we will use the property of indefinite integral. We then apply the property of indefinite integrals by then apply the property of indefinite by taking the factor. So we will apply the property of indefinite integral by taking out the negative 2 over 7. So yung maiiwan dyan is x negative 9. X to the power of negative 9. So we will substitute. Again, we will substitute. So the given will be integral of negative 2 over 7 x to the power of negative 9 dx. So negative 2 over 7 will be outside. No? Will be put outside. Para afterwards, if we will get na the indefinite integral, if we were done solving for the exponent, we will just multiply the negative to the integral So negative 2 over 7 times x plus x to the power of negative 9 plus 1 over negative 9 plus 1 plus c. So negative 2 copy negative 2 over 7. So x to the power of negative 9 plus 1 will be, what will be the answer? Negative 9 plus 1. Okay, very good. Negative 8 over negative 8. X to the power of negative 8 over negative 8. Since there is a negative outside, we will multiply it by the fraction inside the parentheses. So negative 2 times x to the power of negative 8 will be 2x to the power of negative 8. So 7 times negative 8 will be 56. So we will just cancel out the negative signs of negative 2 and negative 8. So since it can be simplified by 2, okay? 2 divide by 2 over 56 divide by 2. So the answer will be 1 over 28 x negative 8 plus c. So that is how you're going to find the integration of function using the power rule of integration with a negative exponent. So the result 1 over 28 x to the power of negative 8 plus c is valid for all x is equals to negative 0, for all x is not equal to 0, since we require the integrand and the integral to be continuous and well defined. So it is still valid. So another example, so we will proceed to our another example. So our another example will be finding the general antiderivative of antiderivative of a function using the power rule of integration with fractional exponents. So when you say fractional exponents, it is when you see fractions in the exponent, or when you see radicals, radical sign, radical sign, inside the radical sign there is an exponent, a variable and an exponent. So you can simplify that one for us to have a fractional exponents. So determine the integral of 7 square root of x to the power of 3 dx. So first, we will rewrite the integrand by noticing that square root of k is equals to the factorial of k, or x to the square root of x to the factorial of x. So this will be the answer. So in this example, we will determine the indefinite integral of a positive fractional power of x, in particular the function 7 to the square root of square root of x to the power of 3. Let's first rewrite the integrand by noting that, okay, this will be the fractional, what? Fractional exponent. Okay, that square root of x is equals to x to the power of 1/2. As 7 square root of x to the power of 3 is equals to 7 times x to the power of 3 times expo the power of 1/2. So you will just multiply that one. 3 times 1 will be 3. Then copy the 2 because consider that 3 has a denominator of 1. So the answer is 7x to the power of 3 halves. So again, in order to determine the integral, we will make use of the following property of indefinite integrals. So the same property, we also make use the power rule. So we will also make use of the power rule, which is kanina pa natin dinidiscuss. I'm sure you're familiarized with the power rule or the formula for the power rule. Okay, you need to listen carefully and you need to familiarize the formula. Okay? The power rule for integration is so simple. Pwede lang nga siyang self-study as long as naintindihan nyo yung discussion, and other examples will be sisiw na. Okay. Before we will proceed now. So, we can use the property to take out the factor of 7. So we will take out the factor of 7. 7 is a whole number. We will just use the variable and the exponent, no? And determine the indefinite integral of x 3 halves using the power rule. So following this, we can rewrite the final answer back in terms of square root. So, wag kayong magtaka kung bakit yung answer dito will be bring back to the square root or to be a radical. So, rewrite everything. So, x to the power of 3 halves plus 1 over 3 halves plus 1. Since you can't add that because they have different denominator, diba? Consider that 1 has a denominator of 1. So we need to find the least common denominator, which will be the 2. So, so 2 times, no, 2 times 2, 2 divide 2 times 2, times 1 equals 2, right? So 3 halves plus 2 will be 5 over 2. Just copy the denominator, okay? Remember the rule of fractions, just copy the denominator. Don't add the denominator because they have the same denominator. Okay. Okay, class? Do you understand? Do you copy? Okay, very good. So tell me if I'm too fast. So the answer will be x 5 halves over 5 halves plus c. So since we factored out 7, we will multiply 7. I know. We will first cross multiply 5 halves and x to the power of 5 halves. So when we cross multiply it, the answer will be 2x to the power of 5 halves over 5. And then we multiply it by 7. So 7 over 1. Consider that 7 has a denominator of 1. So 7 times 2 is equals to 14 over 5. Because 5 times 1 is equals to 5. So 14 over 5 x to the power of 5 halves plus c. So in the integral of 7 square root of x cubed dx is equals to 14 over 5 square root of x to the power of 5 plus c. So so if you will question me, bakit nawala yung 2 over 2? It is because square root is considered as to the power of 2. Okay. Kasi if cube root siya, if 5/3 siya, there will be a cube root of x to the power of 5. Okay? There will be a 3 outside that radical sign. So this result is still valid for all x is greater than or equal to 0. Since we require the integral and integrand and integral to be continuous and well defined, and the square root is only defined for non-negative numbers. Okay. Do you understand? Example number 3. Okay, again, bakit nawala yung 2 sa 5 halves? Because it is square root. When you say square root, square of a number. So, for example, what is the square root of 36? So, the square root of 36 is 6. So, 6 to the power of 6 is 36. Okay. We will not put 2 outside that radical sign because the radical sign is considered as square. Kaya nga square root. Okay? Okay, very good. So next will be example number 4. I think this will be the last example before we will proceed to our next topic or before we will proceed to our next activity. So, finding the integration of a function using the power rule with roots. So, this will have a roots. Okay. So, determine for our example number 4 to prove that we can find the integration of a function using the power rule with roots. Determine the integral of 6 over 8 square root of x. So in this example, we will determine the indefinite integral of a negative fractional power of x. In particular, the function 6 over 8 square root of x. First, let's rewrite the integrand by noting that square root 8 square root of x is equals to x square root of 1 over 8. So since we don't have exponent in the variable given, we will use the 8 outside. Okay, that will be our letter n. So 6 square root of, since we simplify now the square root of x, We will now proceed to the fraction of the given. So the given will be 6 over x 1 8. So we will simplify again is equals to 6x to the power of negative 1 8. So in order to determine the integral, we will make use of the following property of indefinite integral. So paulit-ulit na lang siya. I'm sure you familiarize it. So next will be our solution. So we can use the property to take out the factor of 6. So we will take out the factor of 6 because we will just find the indefinite, or we will determine the indefinite integral of x negative 1 over 8 using the power rule. So again, we will use the power rule. Ilagay outside yung 6 because it was factored out. So it will be 6 times x to the power of negative 8 plus 1 over negative 1, 8 plus 1. So since we can't add that one because we don't have the same denominator, we will find the least common denominator in order for us to add that fraction. Okay. We're done adding. The answer will be 7 over 8. So why 7 over 8? So since the least common denominator is 8, so consider that 1 has a denominator of 1. So 8 divided 1 is equals to 8 times 1, the numerator times the numerator 1 equals 8. So negative 1 plus 8 is equals to positive 7. Because mas malaki ang positive kaysa sa negative. Diyan na problem. Okay. Gets? So the answer will be 6 times 7 x to the power of 7 8 over 7 8 plus c. So we will cross multiply again to find the integrand. So it will be 8x to the power of 7 over 8 over 7 plus c times no. Yeah, we will then multiply 6 to 8 and copy the denominator because 7 times 1 is 7. So 6 times 8 will be 48. So the final answer will be 48 over 7. So the integrand of 8 square root of x is 48 over 7 x to the power of 7 8 plus c. Okay, do you understand? So again, the result is valid for all x is greater than 0. Since we require the integrand and integral to be continuous and well defined, and the eighth root is only defined for non-negative integers. Okay. So before we will proceed to our activity, you may ask questions. So questions, clarifications. None, are you sure? Okay, since you don't have questions and clarifications, we will now proceed to our activity. Okay, our activity will be think, pair, share. Okay. You just have to find a pair or a partner. Yung hindi na malayo ha, yung katabi nyo na lang. The person beside you will be your partner. And try to answer 1 to 5. And after that, you will share with each other what is your answer if you have the same answer. So you're given 10 minutes to do that activity because we're running out of time. Okay, you will just submit one paper. After answering that one by individually, you will share your answers. So if you think you have the same answer, you will just give one paper. And if you think, or if you have items that don't have the same answer, you will solve it again and find out what's really the answer. Okay. Your 10 minutes starts now. Okay. 10 minutes is over and you're so noisy. So, are we done? Are you done? Okay. Finish or unfinished? Please submit your papers forward. Because we will still have another activity and we have only 5 minutes left to end our class. Okay, all papers in? Okay, I will just check this one and record it. Okay, so we will now proceed to our evaluation. Since you don't have any questions and clarifications when I ask you, we will proceed to our evaluation before we will end this class. Okay, please open your comms so that I can see you. So, in a one whole yellow paper, answer the following individually. So, yeah, it's only 5 items. You will be given uh 10 minutes. Extend the 10 minutes, and after that we will end this class. Okay, no cheating. Hindi naman kayo makalook sa other papers. But then I know there's a chats na giving answers. So please stop that. So 2 minutes left. Okay, time is up. So PM me. Sorry again. PM me your answers. And that paper and that answers will serve as an attendance today. Para alam ko kung sino talaga yung nagstay. Kasi napapansin ko may mga umaalis. Okay. So that concludes our meeting, our topic, that evaluation. So before we will end, we will first have, or I will give you your assignment. So your assignment will be posted in the Google Classroom. I will just send it to you and study in advance about the sums. I know the odd or even numbers for integral. I will send also your module there and study it in advance because next meeting we will have our quiz. Okay, self-study, we will have our quiz, including this power rule for integration. Okay? Okay. So, class, thank you for your cooperation. Thank you for your time. So, thank you, and once again, good morning. You may now leave. Okay, thank you, and once again, good morning. You may now leave. Sorry. You may now leave the Google Meet. Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye, guys.